Let's take a look at our map bands just to see exactly where we're going to be playing on in this matchup. Again, 7-map pool, and we're going to play on Clubhouse again. So, okay, let's dig a bit deeper into this. Des, you go first. Tempra, you talked about Chinka, you talked about P4. This is a team coming in from CL. You casted them in CL. How's their performance so far in EU League compared to Challenger League, and how you see them performing forward?
It's a similar sort of style, and the word I've kind of associated with them is they are a firecracker team. If you are looking for entertainment in the EU League, they are the team to watch. You want to see them using a bunch of Amaru to get up hatches to go for a plant, you're going to see it. You want to see them isolating people around the map, roamers with things like Lion and Decabi at the same time, bringing along a Nomad to add insult to injury. This is the team to be watching for that purpose. They've got some brilliant fraggers on side in the form of players like P4. We've seen Voice step up in other instances as well. I think across the whole team, looking at it, that there is a lot to be afraid of here. They will get up in the faces of Vitality. They are not going to let them breathe, and Vitality are going to have to be really composed to deal with them coming into this fixture.
And composure, we were just talking about teamwork, Hap, on in the last matchup between Gio and James, and we saw a lot of that teamwork in Rogue, for example. Vitality, they're bringing in pretty much a completely different roster and way of doing things than we saw them in the past. How do you recover from that super tough week one? Because yeah, sure, you tied Secret, but being run over by BDS, this has high chance of repeating against a team like Tempra.
Yeah. We're going to not make it more pretty than it is, right? They made a roster change very late on. So it takes a time to get yourself accustomed to playing together, get that synergy going. However, the big advantage they have is they do have Fabian on their side. He's a very experienced IGL. He has brought back then Penta back from an 0-2 deficit onto the 6 Invitational Finals, managed to talk them back in. So I hope that any of that experience is going to be able to get into, well, the players, their heads right now. He manages to motivate them and potentially work into actually actively countering the likes of Tempra here. And I think that Clubhouse will be the perfect map to do that for your Vitality.
Yeah, and we've seen that combination of kind of Fabian and Rise trying to mesh together. They're very good friends in real life. You see that as well with Goga as, part of the whole crew. It's just translating it into performance and comfort during the game. That seems a bit difficult to us.
Yeah, I think it's hard when you've got a lot of players here who are quite strong in personality. They've either been leaders on other teams or have been well-known personalities inside of the scene for a while. And although we often speak about G2 as being bringing together the superstar players, I like to think of Vitality as bringing together the veterans, the strong-willed ones who really want to succeed. And sometimes it will take time for to kind of settle a natural order of who is the true IGL here, who is it that's making the calls, who's driving them into the future towards victory. And it's not that they didn't have any bad attacks against Secret last week, for example. We saw them do pretty well on a number of instances. Admittedly tarred somewhat by the rehost that we're going through a couple of times over, but for the most part, they have showed capability, much like we've seen out of Rogue previously. Now it's a case of trying to turn it into an actual victory, the same way that we just saw Rogue do onto Na'Vi.
Well, let's see what people think about this matchup. So technical map that we saw last week on Villa, we're going to see Clubhouse again, highly technical. Vitality 64%, 5% draw, and 31% for Tempra. Super excited for it. But for Clubhouse, onto the casters. Enjoy.
Thank you, Milos. Jess, this is the first time that you and I have casted together. Are you excited?
I am so excited. 2 women on one screen. I mean, has this ever been done at a tier 1 level, at least in English? I don't know.
I have no idea, but I am super, super stoked to see how this game is going to go. Obviously, those viewer predictions were pretty wild. So many people think that Vitality is going to get it. I think I personally would have actually put it at Tempra. They've played so much more consistently, and there's still a lot of question marks around Vitality. So I'm very interested to see how this is going to work out.
Yeah, there's been a lot of question marks around Vitality. As you said, the big thing to pick up here is that there is a lot of synergy and a lot of coordination missing on Vitality at the moment. We're giving them a few excuses here and there about saying, well, they're new, their lineup is still meshing, they still need time, and well, we'll see whether or not the time that they've had over the past week pays any dividends to them as we move on to Clubhouse. Team Vitality will start on attack, however, and that's a very precarious starting side for them, I think, considering that a lot of coordination is required on attack on Clubhouse.
Yeah, I agree. And also, when you look back to the game that they played on Villa against Team Secret, they had a really hard time attacking on that map. You could kind of see what it was they were going for in a lot of instances, what the sort of strategy was, and they were just not really getting to the point where they were able to execute it that well. And given the clubhouse is kind of the pinnacle of having to have that meticulous strategical way of doing things, it does, raise some concerns about how effective is their attacking round gonna go.
Absolutely, and the Maverick ban will come out. That means Thatcher's in play, but of course, as all of you will know, you can Kaid trick a Thatcher, and Maverick and Dell are going to have to spot that out. So, of course, Thatcher means you can bandit trick. There's a couple of other opportunities for you as well to be able to deny hatches. So, I think overall, this would be a good chance for these teams to show that without Maverick on the board, are they able to adapt? I think Maverick's become a bit of a staple on Clubhouse. So, Clash ban coming out as well. Not very surprised there. Of course, I think Tempra will be a little bit fearful of possible Clash plays. A lot of have funs in chat. We all love that. Good bit of sportsmanship.
It's like we noted earlier how loads of people keep saying have fun, but they've stopped saying good luck at the same time because they've realized they actually don't want to wish that upon anybody.
No, you don't want your opponents to win here, Gio. My goodness. You want to be the one that comes out on top. And I think said that himself. He goes, I want to be the winner. And well, we're going to see whether or not he can give that here for us today. And I'm not surprised. The 6 pick from the Habana onto the Monty for Hungary. I mean, a year and a half ago, that was a huge staple of Hungary's lineup on attack. So we'll see whether or not he's kept that, in his pocket as something that he can really pull out. And CCTV is where we're going to start. So this is what I was talking about before we go about the dogs. He's going to be running the bandit. There's the Thatcher in place, no matter. So if you can bandit the Thatcher, which you can do quite effectively, it means it'll force him underneath and cause a bit of a time management delay there for the attackers, which Vitality really don't want.
You also have to bear in mind that given the fact that it was the Hibana who's been 6 pick off of, you're not going to be able to open the construction wall with the X-Kairos like you would typically imagine on what is a more orthodox push that you would have seen in these regions. Although, what do we know? Things have been thrown so much in the fire, especially over the last week with, Echo being out of play and bans being a little bit different. But that is what you would oftentimes expect to see. And obviously having the Monty on that, it's going to make things a little bit different. But it does mean that if those exothermic charges do get tricked and they are no longer available, well, then you're out of hard breach capabilities.
I would also expect with the Monty players, I want to take very quick garage control. Of course, there's no Legion on the board to be able to stop him, so they'll be having to rely on their guns to be able to slow him down, and that's going to be very difficult. You can see people setting up on the top of rafters. He'll have one AES to accompany him, but there we go. Hungry will set himself up on the garage door, and at this time, he goes, well, there's nothing to stop him moving on up the barbed wire, but that's really not going to stop him from moving. The first place his exo's going to go off. He's just going to keep pinging the player on the rafters and hope that they're able to displace him. Even there's a grenade outside of that break, I think that's what will come soaring.
It's going to put a lot of pressure here onto P4, and he's really a player that we've been looking out for recently. And actually, he's got a friend now come to join him out on the rafters. Going to be retreating a little bit, but that can, of course, provide some of that information to the rest of the team. P4 really did show up in the last game that Tempra played in after having a kind of difficult first play day. And so hopefully, if anyone's going to be able to deal with this, it's going to be him. Ibu also coming in through on the Sphere. Going to get rid of that camera. And this is where you'll start to see that floor get opened, and that'll kick off the ability for Goga to have a go at opening up that wall. Goyo's shield has been blown up, which made that pretty easy. So those concerns about tricking, not necessarily so much there. And now Hungary's actually been able to move up pretty much all the way up those rafters, and this has pretty much cleared out CCTV.
I'm so concerned here. They've actually opened the rotate into garage. I believe the defenders did this big enough so that a Monty can fit through fully shielded. That is a huge mistake. Generally, you have the tiny little rotate down. Fabian will kick things off. He'll get a kill onto P4, and Dirtson will get a kill back onto Fabian. Good trade, good even number count. But there's 40 seconds left on the clock, and Goga is creeping down. He'll want to get a plant down behind B-bomb, and there's no C4 below, and they're just moving on in. She's going to start off, guys, with as he strafes in front front of him. Rise will also take out Kioxys. He's going to have to redeem himself here. He wants to get away with that team kill. The plant will begin, and it's in a really precarious position. Of course, the red stairs, the C4. She will make sure that the work gets done. Less than 20 seconds left. Goku knows he has to go for the kill. There's no time to get the plant off, and they're aware below. The shots will come out from the TCSG, and Goku says good night as that round will go firmly in the hands of Tempra after a beautiful C4 to deny the plant.
And it was a relatively swift move on in from Vitality. They managed to get themselves that garage control pretty quickly and push Tempra out of CCTV, especially after that wall was open, which was a little bit more of an easy job than we maybe expected. But the problem that they then had was there was still a full team remaining of Tempra on the board. Fabian was able to get that first kill, but he was traded out really quickly. And in those scenarios, you want to be the team that's on the side of getting that refrag rather than necessarily the one who just gets that empty opening kill. And so at that point, we knew where Vitality had to be, and Tempra were free to just position themselves around that. They got those C4 kills. They were able to get the final cleanup and secure themselves the round. So now we're going to be heading on downstairs, and there is once again going to be some Monty. Jess, do you get the vibe we're going to see a lot of Monty today?
I have a little bit of a sneaky suspicion. I mean, Clubhouse is a good map to do it on, but it entirely depends on the counter that you'll see. I mean, I'm glad we're seeing a little bit of a shift. Generally, we'll see teams just go, oh, don't worry, we'll deal with it in a different way. But I mean, those goo mines can be so effective when they encounter the directional push of the Montaigne and be able to counter the things that way. But all the very aggressive player, so I am worried that he might die before he can have a real insertion.
Well, he was able to live for a decent amount of time in that last round, so hopefully we'll be able to see something very similar there. I'm really going to be looking out for Voy actually here on the Maestro. He's only placed one of his Evil Eyes so far, but he's a player who hasn't necessarily seen the most, I don't want to say value, but the most success as far as statistics and things like that goes in the last few days. And I know that you're a really big fan of Voy and evidently want to see him do well. And so that's definitely going to be someone to watch out for, especially anchoring down here in the basement, waiting for that push to come in. Team Vitality just preparing.
Whether or not this top-down take actually takes a little bit too long for Vitality. We spoke about it last time. They're lacking the effectiveness of time management oftentimes. And that last round, they showed that they could be really quick, but that was off the back of the Monty. And I mean, they're going top down now, so they're going to have to be a lot quicker and a lot of reinforcements upstairs. That's okay to do, and the Monty will decide the garage pushes the play here. But if you're Tempra, you can just move further back and back. They've got to cut the rotates at their Vitality, and that's what they're going to do.
Bibu getting that swift opening kill there. Very similar to what happened before, except this time he's not going to be refragged out. And that means that this man advantage goes here to Team Vitality. Fabian is sitting very low, but Tempra have just made these rotations so that they can be prepared for the push down into the site. Motor Hatch is still reinforced. And really not all that much movement downstairs yet. There's Hungry starting to move in. And so there's going to have to be a lot of eyes on Blue as he starts to move down. You can hear the line going off. He's going to sort that out now, but of course P4, who's just sitting at the bottom of Blue, is going to be aware of that. And actually, that's going to cause the Monty to turn direction for a little bit. But you can see this setup downstairs is entirely ready for this to move in. There goes the EMP so that Goga can open up the hatch. But Tempra are already expecting a push to be coming in from this general direction. Although I say that, and Hungry's actually decided that he's going to be heading in over towards Bar. And that's why you're going to start seeing the eyes change focus to Moto.
It almost looks like Vitality is a little bit confused as to where they want to push, where they want to execute. Some bullets will rain out and Blue control is lost, but P4 wants to challenge it, and he can hear the Monty hitting the barb in Moto. C4 will be wasted and shots will rain down onto P4. He'll get down, but no one will confirm. Hungry decides he's going to take out Dirts with a nasty headshot before he gets the plant underway. It's all up to Voy now. P4 down, he's unable to pick him up. Surely he gets one in Blue, but no one's giving him a single inch here. They're all in brilliant post-plant positions and long lines of sight, all crossfires. He's going to have to pick one, and he can't even do that. And of course, Bibu will finish things off to net them a flawless round.
Yeah, fantastic for Vitality to actually get that flawless round there, because we spoke about how when they played on Villa against Team Secret, they really struggled with their attacking rounds, and to be able to look quite dominating on the attack so far, even though they've only been able to secure themselves one round out of the two, they still looked fairly decisive in what they were doing on the first round. This last one, they did change their mind a couple of times, but once they actually made it down to the basement, they were kind of running rings around Tempra. So the point is here, Vitality are going to feel very confident in the way that they're going about this. They will start to feel like that rapport has been developed a little bit more. And so far, the Monty hasn't been really well dealt with by Tempra. Even though they brought the Legion, even though they've got the smoke, of course, it hasn't really been all that much. And if this ends up being the thorn in Tempra's side and they can't deal with it, then Team Vitality could find themselves running away with a great number of rounds.
There's a lot of teams that have said for a long period of time that they just can't deal with shields. I mean, Empire had said it, a multitude of other teams have said it over the many years of him being part of Play, and I think for a lot of people, that's just one of those things where it's like, well, Monty is just a rock. He's a mountain that moves towards you, and you either are able to get the C4 underneath, a goo mine, which, at least exposes some part of his body, or he's a really aggressive Monty that unshields and it gives you the opportunity to shoot back. So shields are hard to deal with. I think Tempra are feeling the pinch here and the fact that they are unable to deal with it the way they want to. And like I said, the smokes, the people with the goo mines hasn't been too effective other than just spotting him out on blue stairs, and then he even rotated. So some more plantinals, some better understanding of when the execution is going down will pay huge dividends here for Tempra.
And evidently they've chosen to return to this same site, which, makes one believe that they do feel confident, that they'll know what they can do to change things up. The fact that Fabian's come here on the IQ, changing that was done on a 6 pick, means that they're obviously going to be using that. And that'll be really key, finding things like those mute jammers that will prevent their intel from being known. Of course, you've got to figure out how you're going to guide your Monty in. There we go, as he's starting to push up here onto the garage rafters. You have a couple of members of Tempra, but that ADS is really just where the Monty is, which means no projectiles are going to be safe, but they're just retreating straight back into CCTV. And again, it's just free space, and Hungry with the pistol kill onto his P4 as well. And we spoke about how P4 is really this player you want to be looking out for, especially with those goo mines, which would be massive in holding back that push. And that's why you're now starting to see so much of this space be taken here by Team Vitality, and the rotations by Tempra having to be made downstairs.
I have no idea what that game sense on P4 was there. Surely you could hear the big shield moving on the rafters. I mean, of course Hungry was going to turn around and take advantage of someone's back to him, even if he's got a pistol in hand. So really bad situational awareness there, but that's okay. One man down for Tempra, and that gives Vitality a little bit more breathing room, but they're taking a lot of time doing this top-down push, and that proximity alarm keeps going off. If you're hearing the beep beep, ladies and gentlemen, that's just the new proximity alarm gadget that some of the operators have, and I believe it was Voy with the Go-Yo had it, so he keeps getting buzzed from below. He'll finally dispatch of that, but it's heavily annoying and very indicative of someone moving in a particular position. And now Hungry gets to rotate back over to Moto Hatch. Now it's Bibu's chance to take that blue control, which he wasn't able to do in the initial round. And this is where the plant denial comes in. They need to make sure they're ready for this. They'll have C4s, they'll have smokes, but Shinka's focused elsewhere on blue. And this is where we'll see whether this execute with 30 seconds left plays out.
As Chaos is going to be able to get the Monty. They know he's here, but can he get the shot? No, he can't. He's going to be going straight down to Fabian, who was right there behind the Monty to support him. That's 2 players now down for Tempra Esports. And Batu's going to be going straight down for Team Vitality. Make that 3 as Shinka is able to get that shot onto Rise. Suddenly, there is basically no time remaining. And Tempra Esports, while things look so good for Vitality there, they were able to turn it around for themselves.
I cannot understand why Vitality is relying so heavily on the Monty. It's almost as if they're saying, okay, we'll clear top down. The Monty's very helpful for that. Don't get me wrong. It's extraordinarily helpful for flushing out those roamers and pushing them away or being able to isolate them. But once they start getting the hatches open, move down to go for the execute, they just completely negate dealing with any other part. They're not dealing with armory. They're not dealing with kitchen hatch. They're not dealing almost at all with blue. They're trying to have a little bit of presence, but not a lot is being able to be pushed up. They're almost all funneling into Moto. And if some, by some chance, one of the defenders decide to flank up main stairs and go on Moto hatch themselves, I mean, the attackers will be almost nullified in their push. So I think it's dangerous to rely on that kind of very predictable push now that they've done it a couple of times. So they'll need to be careful. But we'll go back to CCTV, and I hope for Tempra's sake they've worked out what they're going to be doing to deal with this Monty as it comes up in Garage, because Shinka, again, with there on the wall between rafters and CCTV, he's opened up a big enough hole again for the Monty to walk through shielded. I can't understand that mentality, but maybe it's just for them to be able to run through it standing hard as well.
Well, I mean, what happened last time they came to this site on round one was they kind of gave Vitality the space to move into the site. And then because they were all still alive, they were able to kind of collapse in on them. And part of me wonders if maybe it's almost like a bait, like an invitation. Come on in.
Right.
You can come into the site, you can move in, because then we're going to swarm you. That's what they did before. The question is whether or not it's going to be successful again. You can't always rely on the fact that if you give a site up for free, you're going to be able to remove them back off of it again. Now, it'll be interesting to see if Vitality are able to open up those walls as swiftly as they were before. That shield is back in the same position. It was blown up very quickly, and you see Bibu waiting below, and he'll be paramount in getting rid of that utility.
I just want to point out, and if our beautiful observer could go over to Rafters for us, there is a Goyo shield at the end of Rafters with 2 ADSs. I asked for adaptation, Tempra heard me, here we go. Deal with the Monty in some way, shape or form, and that big Goyo explosion with some flames will do quite a bit of damage to Hungary if he does get close enough. It will also stall him out. So I hope that it works in their favor, because at least they're trying to deal with the Monty here.
Oh, there goes the lifeline, and that's the starting gun for Team Vitality to make in their approach. And opened up is the wall. And this is where you'll start to see them moving around. Fabian's droning out in the garage. That's going to help guide that Monty, but through the fire and the smokes, and there's a smoke behind him as well, so he can actually move backwards in this situation, and that support that he can have from his team is going to be limited for some time. And there's the Evil Eye trying to get those shots onto him as he's kind of stuck on this stairwell. But Hungary able to move back out the garage. But if anything, that was still able to slow the push that Team Vitality were able to make. And now with just 1/3 of the round remaining, they have to consider if they can do this within the allotted time.
I am so impressed. They have both Evil Eyes in Garage as well. They're trying to zap him from both directions, so if he turns his shield, he can swap to the other Evil Eye and zap him on the other side. A Goyo shield, 2 ADSs. I mean, unfortunately, P4 will go down to a grenade eventually, and another one will soar up just to confirm that, and that has delayed them a lot. You spoke about them taking a lot of control earlier very quickly. Well, now they're down to double-digit seconds. All of the Evil Eyes are still up. C4 will rain up, and that's too early. That's a shame as well, but they now have side control. They've got 30 seconds left. Will they get the plant down with 5 attackers alive?
Well, that's the question. Duz is going to be getting a kill onto Fabian. That's going to bring Vitality down to just 4 members. Things going back onto Duz, though. So Team Vitality able to secure that refrag. This is a good start. The defuse is going down, but Chaoxis is in a position where he's going to try and catch out some of those members. It's not going to get anything just yet, and there's only 7 seconds remaining. Is Goga even going to be able to get the diffuser down? Because it looks like kills aren't going to go in the way of Tempra. It's going down once again. Trying to shoot through the wall is Voy. He did get a kill, but the diffuser is going to be planted. That puts this in a post-plant situation, and just 2 members of Tempra Esports remain. With Monty covering the door here, is there really any hope for them?
There's no hope at all. It's just going to be up to the Bandit. He's going to go against 3, and Bibu yet again will get the final kill for Team Vitality, and this looks like a far more structured and coordinated Vitality here. I'm happy. I'm a little bit worried that the Monty has been a little bit of the crutch operator, just to get that garage control that they've otherwise struggled with. But when they haven't had a lot of success with the Monty, they've been able to throw up grenades, cook the ADSs, so it shows a lot of promise there. I'm just wondering whether or not if Monty was banned in this matchup, for example, would we be seeing something a little bit different? But I mean, 2 rounds apiece for both teams. This is pretty clearly an even matchup so far, even though if you are Tempra, you want to be taking more rounds on defense than the attacking team.
What I find particularly interesting is both of the rounds that Vitality have been able to win, they've been able to plant as well, which means that Tempra, while they've been able to have some luck in those situations, I don't want to put it down just to luck, but they've been able to have success in those situations where they've been able to prevent the plant happening in the first place. When it comes to the post-plant scenarios, that's where they've been struggling a bit more. And it makes sense, right? Because you can turn around and use that shield suddenly not as an attacker, but as a defender. And in those situations, they've been outnumbered, they've been outgunned, and it's very, very hard to push in like that. But Team Vitality are going to be aware of that, and they're going to know that as soon as they're in that situation, suddenly Tempra are finding themselves struggling. And that's something that Tempra need to be aware of. Either they have to be quicker and more effective about dealing with the push before it comes in to prevent that plant from happening in the first place, or they have to be more coordinated when it comes to dealing with the plant after it's happened.
Well, we saw a couple of C4s featured on Tempra's side, and when you're dealing with a Monty who can only really move on a horizontal basis, that's a good opportunity for you to go below and play more vertically to deal with the execute, deal with the plant, and to even deal with the Monty who moves quite slowly. So I was hoping I would see a little bit more of that. I mean, we can see a couple of, and make it more than a couple of, 3 C4s on Tempra's side, and if Vitality don't clear below, maybe Tempra could make it a habit of theirs now of going below and using vertical strategies rather than the horizontal ones they've been employing thus far.
Interesting to see if that works out, especially as this is the first time that we are approaching this site. There's the CCTV wall being opened there by Rise, just using the hammer to get that open. Meanwhile, Gogo is applying the exothermic charge over on the jacuzzi wall. Nothing to prevent that from happening, so that's going to be a pretty swift open, but Chaox is nearby to see... Well, he's going to head back into logistics there as Team Vitality do come in with these drones, but look at this. The electrical is being ready to be thrown, and that's going to make the bathroom wall...
There's a drone below. Can you see that one, Gio? Just below in bathroom, Hungry is watching Dirtsa the whole time, and they know exactly what he's doing. Look at this. They know that there's multiple C4s below. Now, it's all well and good for Hungry to have this intel, but if they don't clear them and they've got all these C4s below, this could be really dangerous. So all this time that Hungry's spending on this drone is actually wasting his opportunity as a shield to push in and force them back. So a little smart one there to have that drone, but I don't know, it's wasting a lot of time.
You're right, 1 minute remaining. Team Vitality is still yet to come in and plant the diffuser.
Oh. Did that destroy the exothermic?
I think it did.
Was that his last exothermic? Oh no, Rise, what are you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, if you missed it, Gogo went to open up the bathroom wall, and unfortunately Rise had mispositioned a grenade and it blew it up in his face. So now they won't get bathroom open, but that actually might work in their favor, considering they might be able to just go for the plant. But I said before, no one dealt with the vertical pressure below, even though Hungary was aware of it. They're just hoping these smokes will block line of sights, and Dirtsa will kick things off onto Bibu, and looks like it's all kicking off for Tempra at the moment. They might be able to salvage this round thus far.
Yeah, the trade's going backwards and forwards, but Tempra are in the disadvantaged position. Now only P4 is remaining. The diffuser has been dropped. There we go. It's been collected there by Rise, but only 12 seconds remaining. Rise has got to make this plant now if he's to do it in time, but the Monty standing in the way is going to make it so much harder for P4 to even get these shots in. These are the situations that I was talking about before, Jess, and these are the situations that cause Tempra to lose rounds. Team Vitality take round 5. After planting the diffuser for the 3rd time.
when you have a Monty on the door, there's nothing more frustrating than knowing you will not get through. And you could see him trying to peek left and right. Just even if he could deny the plant, that might have given him a little bit of a leg up, but Hungary was not going anywhere. And the big aspect of that round, I think, was Fabian dropping below. He was aware that there were people below, and had he have not dropped below and got the kill onto Dirtzer and the other C4 player, this might have gone very differently. So shout out to Fabian, who really dealt with that situation that needed to be dealt with earlier on in the round. I think they were very lucky that he was able to connect some shots there.
Interesting here that they're opting to switch back over onto having that second hard breacher in Hibana and finally relinquishing the Monty. This will be interesting because I think one of the biggest problems that Team Vitality have faced thus far is how slow their pushes have been. And that's part and parcel of playing the shield, but it does mean that you land this very big risk that if at any part in your push you are tripped up for time, then suddenly at the end of the round, you're finding yourself in a position where it's very hard to make up for that. You know, when going back to this double hard breach, you can kind of go the traditional route of being able to open up both of the required walls and making this push in from each side and kind of not having to worry so much about how long it's going to take in that scenario. So it'll be pretty cool to see how Hungary fares on the Hibana. He obviously didn't do a poor job on the Monty. It's worked out very well for them, and that's why Team Vitality are currently in the lead. But they want to make sure they have a decisive win on this half, because if you can go 4-2 on Clubhouse on your attacking half, then that sets you up for real greatness when you switch sides.
Well, the huge weakness for Tempra has been the fact that they're not able to hold below. You can see Voy now deciding that he will feature on the blue stairs, but I don't think that that will be enough. I mean, if you're by yourself below and you have 2 or 3 people come in, especially with drones, I mean, you get picked off really easily. So they need more presence below. Otherwise, Bibu will go downstairs. He'll make sure that he'll get rid of that shield from below, and exactly, beautiful observer being able to show that there for us. And Chaox's whole point of being a bandit and bandit tricking becomes null very quickly. But look at this. Chaox is aware that they've decided to rotate their push over onto construction. This might now be a construction push instead. And we spoke about not being predictable. Well, maybe they're changing things up now.
Diffuser just switching hands here so that Rise can pick it up for himself. And Team Vitality are going to be droning in so they can guide themselves into this push. And as you say, they've decided to come back round the other way. And Hibana's getting ready to jump on in there so that that can be done. And suddenly, this is why Tempra are having to kind of change the direction that they're all facing. You see Voy underneath. He's making this rotation so that he can put himself in position to deal with what's going to happen. Sneaking on up here in the blue stairs. Goga's drone is right there, and he knows exactly where he is. It's going to get destroyed pretty swiftly, but that has given away his position. Now he's just got to be ready for the C4 should anyone come in to attack him.
He starts off by opening it up below, and Voy cannot challenge the direct angle here onto Stock. So he's really been not very effective below, and he's actually decided to rotate all the way downstairs, all the way back up into bedroom. I mean, Chaoxis must be feeling it here. He's actually taken over half of his HP in order to be able to keep the bandit on the wall. Hungary will get back on his drone to work out what's going on. Why is there still an electrified wall here? And they need that downstairs presence. Bibu has already rotated over to get rid of Dirtzer, who tried to challenge him below, but he will fall as well. And now Bibu can watch the breach very carefully. He'll see Chaoxis, and that's a free kill if I've ever seen one. And now things will start to kick off. 30 seconds left. Vitality rush the site. Everyone's so focused on CCTV wall. And of course, Voy will have to retake now. 4v1 plant goes down and C4 becomes ill-effective. And well, if I'm Voy right now, I'm terrified. Shots raining in from the top of red stairs. Drones on him as well. A vertical above him. And there's not much that he can do. And Bibu, just an awesome post-plant position, always seems to be in a good spot to get that final kill. So Team Vitality, another round on the board. And Gio, they stormed the site into cash when everyone was focused on CCTV wall.
Yeah, and I mean, it really was a misstep there from Chaoxis to actually be caught out by Bibu like that, especially when the floor was completely open. They knew that there would be focus there. But the fact that Vitality were able to follow that up with a lot of very clean kills and really clean up a lot of the competition that gave them the space to be able to move in, time was running out pretty quickly. It got to about 30 seconds left of the round, and I was thinking they haven't made much more progress in moving in than they had 30 seconds ago. So being able to get that very key pick that was a huge part, integral part of holding them back and preventing that CCTV wall from being open was massive there for Vitality. And of course, when you're Voy and you're in that situation where you've positioned yourself to play your part on the team, but not necessarily to go and clutch everything when you're the last guy remaining, very, very difficult. He tried with the C4, of course, and it was a little bit of a late reaction with the ADSing at the end to try and get that kill, but you can hardly blame him when you're going up against so many people. Well, now Tempra have coming in onto their attack, and Team Vitality are going to start their first defensive round downstairs here in Church. And I mentioned it before how if you're coming into your attacking half and you have only won 2 rounds on your defense, not really a good place to be on this map. Now, maybe Tempra just turn out to be incredibly good at attacking. They are a particularly strong team. They have done fairly well so far. We don't want to discount them, but it's still concerning. Rise, well, he's taken a lot of health.
I think what he was trying to do was, maintain some dominance in the round start by getting a spawn peek off, but Dirtz was far too wise for him, and he'll take off a lot of health of Rise. There's no dock on the board, so he cannot be brought back up to full health. He'll still have a C4 in hand, so it's a pity there Durza couldn't get one more bullet onto him, which would have taken away a very key operator here. And, well, there's still one ADS in the hands of Hungry, so it'd be interesting to see where he ends up placing that down. There's grenades in the hands of Dirtzer, as we said before, and flashes in Shinka, so good entry here from Tempra as well. They've sped things up. We saw them stall out a lot in their previous Playday. So I want to see them speed things up on their attack, and I love this C4 that can come zooming through. That will zoom all the way up into anyone entering through kitchen or going around bar. The shrapnel explosion now means that might catch someone who's even maybe crouching over a bar as well.
What would be really great about that as well is that he brought Rise down to such low HP, and if he can get a kill like that, then that would be extra value that maybe you didn't expect him to get. Just waiting for the attacking side to move in. They open the moto hatch, so it's good. You're starting to see some droning be done down below. Chaox's drone is visible there, pretty much in the middle of the screen, and Rise is just waiting patiently for these moves in to be made. You can see Hungry getting busy down below, getting rid of some of the drones that are down there in blue, but so far, not much else. And everyone is down here, right? So there's no real kind of like drone presence, anything like that. So there's a lot of presence down on the site, and that's going to make it a lot harder for Tempra to deal with that. You see P4 trying to get this angle, but he's actually going to be able to secure it. Hungry, he's going to be the first one to go down, and that prevents that Jaeger from having control in blue anymore, and this angle can potentially be held into the site from the Zephyr.
What's interesting there is Hungry had known that both of his ADSs were cooked, and he still went back into blue to eat that grenade full face. So a little bit of an interesting decision there. And of course, we'll see a huge bandwave come out. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. We will not miss you at all. And, well, this pinch coming in from blue into Moto. This is going to start off well. P4 will pick up Rise. That's a great pick, but Goga will trade back. Goga gets 3 headshots in a row. He's a headshot magnet. And, of course, it's going to just leave Shinka somehow, some way, all the way in Dirt Tunnel. He's going to have to run through so many smoke babes and so many bullets, and all the Vitality now, they know exactly where he is. He's made his presence known. 7 seconds left. Can he get 3 headshots in a row? I don't even think he can get 1. Look at this. He reigns on in. No one will give him the chance. And good night, sir. Fabian puts Shinka to sleep. And, well, if I am Goga right now, I'm feeling pretty happy with myself. 3 consecutive headshots with the Elder. That's beautiful.
Absolutely. And this isn't the first time in this game either that we've seen Vitality just come out with a wave of blue in the kill feed in one moment where you think maybe Tempra can hold their own. And now you're in a 5-2 situation. All Vitality have to do is get the next 2 rounds. This is a really, really big ask here from Tempra, who have a significant amount of catching up to do and a huge, huge hill to climb if they're to be able to secure themselves this win. Now, going to CCTV and Cash, they're going to be bringing both the Bandit and the Kaid, which is something that Tempra didn't do when they were on the defense. Instead, they opted to just play the Bandit, and they were kind of juggling those batteries around on the CCTV wall. But with this extra utility, that could make it significantly harder for Tempra to push on it, especially, it's going to put a lot more work on the side of Voy, who's playing the Thatcher, but, you still have the risk of being tricked.
I'm hoping that P4 decidedly goes below and, look, Fabian can't even reinforce the wall. The shield is too close to the CCTV wall. He's begging Rise to come back up and pick it up, because if he doesn't pick it up and get the reinforcement off, the round will begin, but he does. It's okay. It's all good, ladies and gentlemen. Rise rectifies his mistake. Yeah, we love that. Sometimes we make a little mistake. That's okay. But of course, the Mute Jammer will be the first one on the wall. That will force them to have to use a Thatcher. And of course, that's what they're hoping, is that they waste those EMPs, because what Bibu can do late round is if they try and pinch from construction as well, he could Electroclaw and trick that wall as well, especially if there's only one EMP available by that late round. So the outcome of this
makes it significantly harder to be dealt with. And of course, you've got Hungry down here on the stairs, something that people will have to be aware of. And Hungry's been having a decent game, but P4 has also been having a good game. So that fight will have to ensue at some point. The EMP did get thrown out, so that means that Mute Jammer is down, but the Bandit batteries are going to be returning, re-electrifying that wall, and remaining to hold Tempra back. Instead, they're coming to focus on the garage, and this is why you see Fabian start to move in, and of course Bibu is taking place there on the rafters. So there is this presence from Vitality that isn't going to make it such an easy push for Tempra as they start to come in through here. And even then, if they decide that it hasn't worked, they're still going to have to go and change their mind and go elsewhere, and half the round is already over. Garage door is being opened, and the drones are starting to be deployed, and you can see P4 starting to move around because he wants to see if Hungry's going to peep his head and allow him to move on in.
I'm a little bit disappointed by Tempra here, because they really need CCTV wall open first before they want to aggress into garage. I love this double ADS setup down on the blue stairs. This is perfect. Fabian's there to assist him as well. He could peek the door at the same time that Hungry gets pushed, but it's almost like Tempra are too scared to push onto him. It's like they can't deal with all the ADS. They can't grenade him. They can't remove him. So look at this. The rotate's being called, and all of Tempra will decide, well, it's not worth it to push CCTV anymore. We're just going to rotate our one EMP and one exothermic all the way over to construction with less than a minute left.
One of the problems is potentially that they've left it so late to make this decision. Less than a minute remaining, and they're still yet to enter in kind of anywhere near to the site, and they certainly haven't got close to getting a kill onto anyone. Could P4 be the first two? Ogre is sitting there nicely just behind the bomb chassis, but so far his angle isn't going to get anyone. Ping's being put down, but still 27 seconds remaining, and Tempra seem to be no closer to moving into the site. They're going to have to be aggressive, but Fabian's going to be aggressive first. Diffuser dropped and Shinka down. The refrag does come out, and that allows P4 to jump into construction. Starting to move on in, and Voy's going to be joining in on the fray. This could be a good start, but no, Vitality do get kills in return, and suddenly it's a 2 versus 1, and only Voy is remaining. Team Vitality can start to move in here. They know that he's only going to be somewhere, and it doesn't take long to get him, and Team Vitality secure themselves round 8.
Tempra lost so much time, very unimpressively dealing with that CCTV wall. I wanted to be careful with the word I used there, because it was a real effort that really had a lot to be desired. When they realized they couldn't capture the wall because it was a mute to begin with, and of course the bandits were placed down, they knew they wouldn't have enough EMPs to deal with the bandit tricker, so they decided, let's go push out the Jaeger and blue stairs. Well, the Jaeger had 2 ADSs, and then once they had cooked everything in their hands, they went, well, I'm too scared to take this gunfight. You can't be that way if you desperately need CCTV wall. The rotate should have been called 30 seconds before they'd even made it if they didn't want to commit to it, and well, That's exactly why they were down to 10 seconds in the end. So it did end up a close round, but it really wasn't a convincing one for Tempra whatsoever.
Yeah, this is kind of the concerning thing about Tempra, is that making these decisions but slightly too late, and at that point you're sort of setting yourself up for, I don't want to say failure, because there's always a chance that you could succeed, but you're certainly not putting yourself in the strongest position that you want to be. We mentioned at the start how this is one of those maps that is so methodical, it's so technical, and you can't really afford to be sort of YOLOing your way through your decision making, especially when your opposing team is going to be prepared for what the decisions you're making are. You're seeing this replay just now. Such a beautiful shots coming out from all sides, really, as Tempra started to make their move in, but of course Vitality finally able to be the victors in the end. But coming over just to Gym and Bedroom, this is the first time that Vitality have decided to defend this site, and evidently things have been going pretty well for them so far on the defense, and all they have to do is take this round to secure themselves the series. But are they going to do it?
Well, they've kicked things off by opening up the CCTV wall, something that they had struggles with last round, but of course the site is not there this time, so they'll get that one for free, but they're also going to have to deal with the cash hold by Bibu and Fabian. Lots of magnets will rain out across construction as well, and the first order of business for Tempra right now should be getting this jacuzzi wall open. They'll have EMPs to deal with it this time, and they can surely also concuss the drone hole if they have a bandit trigger, which they do. So you'll see whether or not he goes towards the drone hole. He will. People should lay down, and Goga decides it's not worth it. I can hear that concussion coming from a mile away, and what a spot from Goga. Look at this shield. Look at this placement. He's in one of the worst positions a player could really ever be.
Really at risk to being caught out here from a number of different angles, but don't want to discount it too early, because you never know. He got some fantastic kills earlier on, and you still want to have hope even in those kind of negative, pessimistic situations. Duz is going to be the first to fall, though, so, you know...
I love that peek. Yo, I'm gasping because it was brilliant. Everyone knows that even in a ranked game, you always check dirt because someone might have a punch hole watching up on a jacuzzi, but Rise, you know, doesn't matter what tier level of gameplay he's playing, he wants to rock it either way. That was a brilliant shot.
Yeah, it's called BM, and it wouldn't be spicy and fun without it. I'm a proponent of BM, and I love to see it, but... let's see if we're going to see any more as we head into the final minute of the round, and Tempra still waiting to move in. All these members of Team Vitality are still standing, and we've seen these situations before where Vitality can hold their own. That first smoke canister is going to be going out, make it harder for Shinka to really see anything, but more than that, it will prevent that push in. Now he's starting to move on forward somewhat, and you can see how Team Vitality are all spread out across the top floor of this map, ready to close in when they have to. There's the EMP onto the construction window, and there's Rise and Fabian going to be going down to P4, who's going to secure himself a 2K. That's a great situation there, but there's just 25 seconds remaining. They have to clear out the remaining 3 members of Vitality and get that diffuser down. Or get that diffuser down, I suppose, but regardless, this round has to be won here by Tempra Esports if they are to still have hope. Oh, that's a great jump out there from Bibu, and Goga as well bringing down P4. There's the diffuser, but it's a 2 versus 2, Jess.
Goga really needs to get this kill. He's chasing, and he's got a good headshot there now. It's just him and Chaoxys. He could pick up Bibu, but it doesn't matter. He's going to catch the head of Chaoxys, and that's a GG well played in chat. Goodness me, if you're Tempra right now, and what feels like a thrown match and a thrown round means that you are going to walk away with 0 points.
You know, I had my questions about Team Vitality and about how fast they were meshing, as it really seemed they've been having struggles in week 1. And when I saw the audience predictions say that they very definitively thought that Team Vitality were going to win, I kind of doubted it somewhat. I wondered whether or not that was really going to be the way things go. But evidently, I'm happy to, well, I was going to say eat my words. I didn't actually say any words originally, but regardless, I'm happy to go back on that. I'm happy to admit that I was wrong. And this is a great look here for Team Vitality, who so many were hoping would show up as one of these super teams.
Well, I asked how long they needed to synergize, and it turns out they only needed a week. 2 play days in total, and here they are showing their prowess here on Clubhouse. Of course, we'll let the analysts break it down a little bit further for us, but thanks for being here for the rest of this EUL night. See you next Playday.
You're muted, apparently, Milos. Come on, Hap. Join it with me this time.
Fix it.
The good old sounder, the standard,
Go
the standard.
Go away. It's done. It's done. We got
All right,
it.
goodbye.
They're just gonna...
Oh,
Wait, you can't say I'm just going home. You are literally home, Stan.
no, I can
Come
get
on.
to bed. So I mean,
Okay,
like, you know,
I don't
is
think
that.
we want to watch you when you're going to sleep, at least not publicly here. So thank you so much, girls. Yes, we are back again. Vitality in control through this match. And Derry, I wanna throw this question to you first. Vitality on their attack looked so comfortable, but I think there was an elephant in the room for this one.
Yeah, a very big grey elephant, except maybe more metallic than maybe made of tusk in this case. We're, of course, talking about the Monty. Every single round without fail, you can see with the way they came into this game that there was entirely their intent was to keep on running Monty. That clash pan at first, I was like, why a clash pan? It made total sense. What did we see Na'Vi do against G2? They brought the clash as kind of the counter. You remove that out of there, and all you got to deal with is things like the smoke, the legion, the Goyo. That came an awful lot out of the side of Tempra, which is really strange. We normally see them playing like a firecracker, like we explained at the start. They like to get in the map, they like to cause some trouble and bring things that surprise the other side. Maybe not quite make them happy like a firecracker might, but surprise them. But today they just didn't really get the chance to do so. Far too much kind of containing in towards site. You saw them try and roam for a couple of rounds, and sadly the Monty was there to go, no, back on site you go. It was a really hard game to play.
That usual play style from
Yeah.
Tempra it just was non-existent here.
No, it's something that we kind of saw in the first Playday as well. That they didn't really get to play their style, and normally in like attacks they bring Lion or Duckabee or Jekyll to deal with the roam player more like effectively. Like they have a spearhead that just like gets inside, right, deep into the building. They try and eliminate these rotations, and then they send in P4 to clean things up. But they couldn't do that because they needed to bring these two hard breachers. They need to bring a Thatcher. You needed to bring soft breach. There was no room for the normal operators. And in a map like Clubhouse, on the side of the defense, it's harder to flank as well, something that they really like to do, and they had to use all of their utility to try and deal with the Monty. So basically, Vitality played into it perfectly, knowing what the playstyle is of Tempra and able to shut them down by, well, picking up that Monty and this map.
To me, when it came down to Club, it was the smart call, right? Because you look at Club as a map, it's not one that we see Tempra play. They like things like Coastline, they like Consulate. Border used to be their third most pick this year, I think. It tells you the kind of play style they want to be, where it is aggressive, it is getting outside of sight and causing chaos on the other side. They have started playing Club. They played it about 11 days ago inside the French League, so I understand it's something they're now trying to add to their repertoire. The problem is I don't think they quite have the playstyle to adapt in this case. And to be honest with you, Vitality, as much as we criticised them last week, have absolutely read Tempra like a book this week, and they've played it to perfection.
Definitely so. This is the highlight. This is what we come out of this game is Vitality studied Tempra. They know how they play. They picked the map for it. They forced them into it. They played the right operators to deal with Tempra's playstyle. This is what you expect Vitality to play like. Goga is absolutely insane. We saw his plays there. The entire team played well. This is something though to look into and how Vitality keep evolving over the league. So speaking of which, let's take a look at our rankings. We've gone through 5 matches, which means we've got points at the end of it. 9 for BDS, 6 for Rogue, G2 at 5 points. Triple 4 there. Empire, Vitality, and Tempra. 3 points for Virtus.pro, 2 for Na'Vi and Secret, and Chaos now at number 10 with a point, only 1. Very unfortunate there for our Nordic team, but a lot to look forward in the future. I know you've been casting a lot of Chaos in Nordic League, Des, and seeing their growth on there, but it seems that it's a bit more difficult to get a head start with so many European teams now that are just so good, so varied, and trying out so many different things that we're not used to seeing. That said, gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. It's an incredible day here at EU League, but we're not done yet. There's around 35 or so minutes before the start of the NA League. There is United versus Disrupt, Tempo Storm versus the Susquehanna Sonics. That's not too long from now. So make sure you're still on here and watching if you have the time. But all of us will be back in the morning. There's APAC North starting up there, and we have Talon versus Scars as a first match of Playday number 3 of the region. Thank you again so much for watching. We love you. Good night.